Kyle Adams stood at the viewing port of Nexus 7 space station watching the stars. His reflection stared back at him, a man in his 40s with short brown hair and tired eyes. As Earth's chief diplomat, he carried the future of humanity on his shoulders. "Beautiful, isn't it?" asked a voice behind him. Kyle turned to see Maya Johnson, Earth's military attaché. Her dark uniform contrasted with the white walls of the station. "Sometimes I forget we're the new kids on the block," Kyle said. "Humans have only had faster-than-light travel for 15 years. Some of these species have been crossing the stars for thousands." Maya nodded. "And they all look at us like we're children playing with matches." Kyle checked his watch. "The Galactic Council representatives will be here soon. Remember, we need to appear humble." "Even though we could probably take most of them in a fight?" Maya asked with a small smile. "Especially because of that," Kyle said. Earth Military Command was clear. "Downplay our capabilities. Let them think. We're just scrappy newcomers." They walked together through the gleaming corridors of Nexus 7. The station served as neutral ground for diplomatic meetings between the many species of the galaxy. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved past them, some with too many eyes, others with blue or green skin, a few floating rather than walking. In the main conference room, representatives from 12 alien species sat around a large table. The human delegation took their places at one end. "We welcome Earth to these proceedings," said Ambassador Trell, a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms. "Your species has shown remarkable progress since achieving space travel." Kyle smiled and bowed slightly. "We are honored to be here and hope to establish peaceful relations with all council members." For 2 hours, they discussed trade agreements, travel rights, and technology sharing. The aliens treated the humans with a mix of curiosity and condescension, but the talks were going well. Then the station shook violently. Red lights flashed. A siren wailed. "We are under attack," announced a computerized voice. "All personnel proceed to emergency shelters." The doors burst open. A group of reptilian aliens stormed in, firing weapons. Their scales were black with red markings, and they wore heavy armor. "Vraxians!" hissed one of the council members before a blast hit him in the chest. Kyle dove under the table, pulling Maya with him. "What's happening?" he whispered. "Vraxian Imperium," Maya said, drawing a small pistol from her boot. "They've been expanding their territory for decades. I guess they decided to target the council. The diplomats were being slaughtered. Those who surrendered were executed anyway." Kyle felt sick as he watched the massacre. A Vraxian larger than the others, with elaborate markings on his face, stepped into the center of the room. "I am Commander Drakthor," he announced. "This station now belongs to the Vraxian Imperium. Your pathetic council is dissolved." Maya tugged on Kyle's sleeve. "There's a maintenance hatch under that panel," she whispered, pointing to the wall behind them. "If we can reach it." They crawled slowly, keeping low. Just as they reached the wall, a Vraxian soldier turned toward them. Maya fired twice. The alien fell with a shriek. "Move!" she ordered, prying open the panel. They squeezed through the small opening and found themselves in a narrow maintenance tunnel. Maya closed the panel behind them. "We need to send a warning to Earth," Kyle said, pulling out his communication device. "This is diplomat Kyle Adams. Nexus 7 has been attacked by Vraxian forces. Council members executed. Request immediate." A blast shook the station again, cutting off his transmission. "Did it send?" Maya asked. "Partial transmission. Better than nothing." Kyle started crawling through the tunnel. "We need to find a way to the emergency shuttles." They moved through the station's maintenance system, occasionally hearing screams and weapons fire. At several junctions, they paused to listen to Vraxian patrols passing by. "They're everywhere," Maya whispered. At one point, they stopped near a grate that overlooked a large command room. Commander Drakthor stood with his officers looking at star maps. "The primitive humans will be our next target," Drakthor said, pointing to a blue-green planet on the display. "Their technology is basic. They're military inexperienced. They will make easy slaves." "When do we begin the invasion, Commander?" asked one of the officers. 3 standard galactic weeks. Time enough to secure this sector and gather our forces." Drakthor laughed, a harsh sound like grinding stones. These humans have barely left their own solar system. They have no idea what real warfare is like. Kyle and Maya exchanged glances. If only the Vraxians knew the truth. That Earth had been quietly building its military for years, preparing for exactly this kind of threat. We need to survive and get this intelligence back to Earth, Kyle whispered. They continued through the tunnels until they found an access point near the shuttle bay. But their hearts sank at what they saw. Vraxian guards everywhere, and most of the shuttles destroyed. There's one left, Maya pointed to a small maintenance vessel. But we'll never reach it without being seen. Just then, the station's lights flickered and went out. Emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in dim red. Now's our chance, Kyle said. They ran across the bay, keeping low. A guard spotted them and raised his weapon, but Maya was faster. Her shot caught him in the throat. They reached the shuttle and climbed inside. Maya took the controls. I hope you can fly this thing, Kyle said as alarms began to sound. Better than you can, she replied, starting the engines. The shuttle shot out of the bay just as Vraxian soldiers opened fire. The small craft shook with impacts. Shields at 60%, Kyle reported, looking at the display. Can we reach the jump point? We're going to try, Maya said through gritted teeth. The shuttle accelerated away from the station. Vraxian fighters pursued them, weapons blazing. 30 seconds to jump point, Maya called. A blast rocked the shuttle. Shields failing. 10 seconds. Another hit. Warning lights flashed across the console. Jump now. The stars stretched and blurred around them as the shuttle entered faster than light travel. The Vraxian fighters disappeared from their sensors. Kyle let out a breath. He hadn't realized he was holding. We made it. For now, Maya said. But we're damaged. We can't make it all the way to Earth. We'll have to find somewhere to set down and send another message. Kyle nodded, looking at the star map. 3 weeks. That's how long Earth has to prepare. The Vraxians think we're easy prey, Maya said. They have no idea what humans can do when backed into a corner. Kyle thought about Earth's secret military projects, the specialized combat units trained for extraterrestrial warfare, the technologies developed but never revealed to the galactic community. The Vraxians were in for a surprise. When they come, he said, Earth will be ready. 1 month later, Admiral Susan Martinez stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Guardian, watching the holographic display of Earth's solar system. Red dots appeared at the edge, moving slowly inward. The Vraxian scouts have entered the system. Admiral, reported her second-in-command, Carl Davis. 12 ships as expected. Susan nodded. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. 25 years in Earth's space navy had prepared her for this moment. Are our ships in position? She asked. Yes, Admiral. The fleet is hidden behind Mars and Jupiter's moons exactly as planned. Susan tapped her communication device. All ships maintain silent running. Let them come to us. The Vraxian ships moved with confidence, making no attempt to hide their approach. Their communication channels were open, and Earth's translators picked up their chatter. These humans don't even know we're coming, said one Vraxian commander. Our scouts report minimal orbital defenses. Commander Drakthor was right, replied another. This will be an easy conquest. Susan smiled grimly. Earth had deliberately kept its true military capabilities secret from the galactic community. The orbital platforms the aliens could see were merely decoys, outdated technology displayed for show. Let them get closer, Susan ordered. When they pass the Mars orbit line, spring the trap. On Earth below, preparations continued. In an underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Alan Peters addressed the soldiers of Earth's Special Forces. The first wave of Vraxians will arrive today, he told them. Admiral Martinez will handle them in space, but we need to be ready if any reach the ground. The soldiers before him were the best Earth had to offer, the Ghostwalkers. They had trained for years to fight alien threats, studying everything from foreign biologies to exotic weapons. Remember, the Vraxians are reptilian, Alan continued. They're stronger than humans, but they're slow in cold environments and have poor night vision. Use that to your advantage. In another part of the base, scientists worked frantically to prepare Earth's newest technology. Dr. Diane Foster supervised as technicians loaded specialized weapons onto transport vehicles. "The quantum displacement units are ready," she reported to Alan over the communication system. "They've never been field tested against actual alien technology, but the simulations are promising." Back in space, the Vraxian scout ships passed the Mars orbit line. Susan leaned forward in her chair. "Now," she ordered. 20 Earth warships deactivated their cloaking systems, appearing suddenly around the Vraxian formation. The alien vessels, scattered in surprise, but it was too late. "Target their engines and weapons systems," Susan commanded. "I want prisoners if possible." The Earth ships fired, their weapons far more advanced than the Vraxians had expected. The quantum displacement technology created brief tears in spacetime, causing the Vraxian ships to phase partially out of normal space. Their shields flickered and failed. "What is this?" screamed a Vraxian captain over the open channel. "Their technology shouldn't be this advanced." "Surrender now," Susan broadcast to all Vraxian ships. "You are outmatched." 3 Vraxian vessels exploded as they tried to escape. 4 more surrendered immediately. The remaining 5 turned and accelerated toward Earth, hoping to complete at least part of their mission. "They're making a run for Earth," Carl reported. "Should we pursue?" "Let the orbital defenses handle them," Susan replied. "And alert Colonel Peters that we may have company." The 5 Vraxian ships raced toward Earth, taking heavy damage from the orbital defense platforms. 2 exploded before reaching the atmosphere. The remaining 3, trailing smoke and debris, managed to crash land in different locations, one in the Siberian wilderness, one in the Pacific Ocean, and one in the Arizona desert. "We have 3 confirmed landings," reported a technician. "Ghostwalker teams are being deployed to all sites." Colonel Alan Peters led the team heading to the Arizona crash site. Their transport flew low and fast, reaching the desert within minutes of the Vraxian ship's landing. "Remember your training," Alan told his team as they prepared to disembark. "These are mercenaries, not regular Vraxian troops. They're unpredictable." The crashed ship had carved a half-mile trench through the desert sand. Smoke billowed from its broken hull and strange liquids leaked onto the ground, sizzling in the heat. The Ghostwalkers approached cautiously, using the broken terrain for cover. Their sensors detected movement inside the wreckage. "At least 6 survivors," reported Ben Mitchell, the team's scanner operator. "They're gathering near what looks like an emergency exit." Alan signaled for his team to surround the area. They were in position just as the side of the ship burst open, and armed Vraxians emerged. The aliens were intimidating up close, 7 feet tall with muscular bodies covered in black scales with red markings. They carried weapons that glowed with strange energy and wore partial armor that had been damaged in the crash. "Surrender," Alan called out, using a translator device. "You are surrounded." The lead Vraxian, bearing an officer's markings, laughed harshly. "Humans, do you think we fear primitives like you? We've conquered species far more advanced than yours." Without warning, the Vraxians opened fire. The Ghostwalkers ducked into cover as energy blasts scorched the sand around them. Alan activated his comlink. "Diane, we could use those new weapons." "Now." "Activating," came the reply. Small devices buried in the sand around the crash site hummed to life. The air shimmered, and suddenly the Vraxians' weapons stopped working. "What is this?" the Vraxian officer snarled, examining his useless gun. "Quantum field disruption," Alan said, stepping from cover with his standard rifle raised. "Your energy weapons won't work in this field. Ours still do." The Ghostwalkers emerged from their positions, weapons trained on the confused aliens. The Vraxian officer looked at Alan with new respect and fear. "This technology, it shouldn't be possible for your species." "There's a lot you don't know about humans," Alan replied. "Surrender now." The Vraxians, realizing they were outmatched, dropped their weapons. As the Ghostwalkers secured the prisoners, Alan received a communication from Admiral Martinez. "Colonel, we've captured several of their ships intact. Their computers contain information about the main invasion force. We have 3 weeks before they arrive." Will that be enough time to prepare? Alan asked. It has to be, Susan replied. But there's something else you should know. We've found communications indicating they're particularly interested in capturing humans alive. They need us for something. Alan looked at the captured Vraxians. For what purpose? We don't know yet, but it's clear they've been studying us for some time. They just didn't expect us to fight back so effectively. Alan nodded, watching as his team loaded the alien prisoners onto transport vehicles. The main force will be larger and better prepared, Susan continued. They won't underestimate us again. Then it's time to unveil the Earthborn units, Alan said. There was a pause on the communication line. Approved, Susan finally said. God, help us all. Alan ended the transmission and looked up at the sky. The first wave had been defeated, but the real battle was just beginning. Soon, the galaxy would learn why humans were not to be taken lightly. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, 5 men and women stood at attention in a large underground chamber. Each wore a different colored uniform with a distinctive patch, a mountain peak, a wave, a flame, a tornado, and a cracked Earth symbol. Admiral. Susan Martinez walked slowly in front of them, hands clasped behind her back. Colonel Alan Peters stood to the side, watching with pride. For 10 years you have trained in secret, Susan said. You were selected from millions of candidates for your exceptional abilities and mental fortitude. Today, humanity needs you. She stopped and turned to face them directly. You are the Earthborn units, Earth's ultimate defense against alien threats. It's time to show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of. The 5 leaders stepped forward one by one. Avalanche unit ready for deployment, said Captain Greg Walsh, a tall man with ice-blue eyes. His white and blue uniform bore the Mountain Peak insignia. Tsunami unit ready for deployment, said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Chen, her calm demeanor hiding incredible strength. Her blue uniform featured the stylized wave. Wildfire unit ready for deployment, said Major Sam Rodriguez, a compact man, with intense eyes. His red uniform bore the flame symbol. Hurricane unit ready for deployment, said Commander Olivia Wright, her movements quick and precise. Her gray uniform featured the tornado emblem. Earthquake unit ready for deployment, said Captain Paul Jones, his voice deep and steady. His brown uniform bore the cracked Earth insignia. Susan nodded in approval. Your units have mastered combat in extreme environments where other species fail. The Vraxians don't know what they're up against. Screens lit up around the chamber, showing the solar system and the approaching Vraxian fleet. 50 warships, much larger than the scout vessels they had defeated earlier. Each unit will deploy to different locations in the solar system, Alan explained. Avalanche to Jupiter's moon Europa, tsunami to Neptune, wildfire to Mercury, hurricane to the asteroid belt, and earthquake to Mars. You will set traps and strike when the enemy least expects it. Greg Walsh of Avalanche Unit studied the mission details on his tablet. Europa's surface temperature is negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit. The Vraxians are reptilian. They'll be sluggish in that cold. Exactly, Susan confirmed. Each location was chosen to exploit Vraxian weaknesses while playing to human strengths. In the following days, the 5 Earthborn units deployed to their assigned positions. Their ships were small and stealthy, easily hidden in the vastness of space. On Europa, Greg Walsh led Avalanche Unit across the icy surface. Their special suits protected them from the extreme cold while maintaining full mobility. Set the quantum. Disruptors here, Greg ordered, pointing to a flat area of ice. When their ships land to establish a forward base, they'll get a nasty surprise. His team worked quickly, burying devices in the ice. These were more advanced versions of the technology used in Arizona, capable of disabling all Vraxian technology. Within a wide radius, meanwhile, Lisa Chen and Tsunami Unit prepared their trap on Neptune. They established a base beneath the planet's liquid methane sea, where the intense pressure would crush normal ships. The Vraxians will try to use Neptune's atmosphere to hide their approach to Earth, Lisa told her team. They won't expect an attack from below. On Mercury, Sam Rodriguez and Wildfire Unit endured surface temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Their suits designed for extreme heat allowed them to set up ambush points around the planet's equator. The Vraxians hate heat even more than cold, Sam said. If we can lure them down here, they'll be fighting at half strength. Olivia right. An Hurricane unit floated among the asteroids, setting up a network of mines and automated defense systems. They'll have to pass through here to reach Earth, Olivia explained. We'll turn this belt into a killing field. On Mars, Paul Jones, an earthquake unit dug extensive tunnel networks beneath the red planet's surface. The Vraxians are larger than humans, Paul told his team as they worked. In these tight spaces, their size will be a disadvantage. We'll attack, then disappear into the tunnels before they can respond. Back on Earth, Kyle Adams and Maya Johnson were debriefed after their rescue from Nexus 7 station. They provided valuable intelligence about Vraxian tactics and capabilities. There's something else you should know, Kyle told Admiral Martinez. During our time hiding on the station, we overheard conversations about a Vraxian captain named Zilvor, who opposes the invasion of Earth. A potential ally? Susan asked. Maya shrugged. Maybe. Zilvor commands a small fleet of mercenaries who work for the Vraxians but don't share their imperial ambitions. If we could contact him somehow. We'll look into it, Susan promised. Any advantage is worth exploring. 3 days later, the main Vraxian fleet entered the solar system. As predicted, they split into smaller groups to secure various planets and moons before converging on Earth. A detachment of 5 ships approached Europa, landing on the icy surface near the South Pole. As soon as they touched down, Greg Walsh activated the quantum disruptors. The Vraxian ships went dark. Their weapons systems, engines, and life support all failed simultaneously. Now, Greg ordered. Avalanche unit emerged from hiding, moving swiftly across the ice in their white camouflage. The Vraxians, already slowed by the extreme cold, were unprepared for human soldiers who moved comfortably in such temperatures. The battle was brief and one-sided. Within an hour, all 5 ships were captured intact, their crews taken prisoner. Greg reported back to Earth. Europa secured, Admiral. 20 ships captured with minimal damage, 300 Vraxian prisoners. Similar reports came in from the other units. Tsunami unit had disabled 7 ships in Neptune's atmosphere. Wildfire unit had forced 3 ships to crash on Mercury's surface. Hurricane unit had destroyed or disabled 15 ships in the asteroid belt. Earthquake unit had lured 6 ships into landing on Mars, then attacked from below. In Earth orbit, Susan Martinez watched the tactical display with satisfaction as more than half the Vraxian fleet disappeared from the screen. Send the recordings to every species in the Galactic Council, she ordered. I want them to see what happens when you underestimate humans. On the Vraxian command ship, Supreme Commander Krajul received the reports with growing fury. Impossible, he roared, smashing a console with his fist. How can these primitives defeat our best warriors? His second-in-command approached cautiously. Commander, we've intercepted communications about something called Earthborn units. They appear to be specialized human fighting forces trained for extreme environments. I don't care what they call themselves, Krajul snarled. Gather the remaining ships. We will attack Earth directly. Once we control their homeworld, these special units will surrender to save their families. Little did he know that Earth's defenses were only just beginning to reveal themselves. And across the galaxy, the first whispers about the Earthborn units were spreading through the mercenary networks, prompting nervous glances and silent dread. 6 months into what was supposed to be a quick conquest, the name Earthborn units had spread across the galaxy. In space bars and mercenary outposts, stories were told in hushed voices about the human special forces who had turned the tide against the mighty Vraxian Imperium. On a small trading station near the edge of Vraxian space, 3 alien mercenaries sat huddled around a table. One was a tall, blue-skinned Novan with 4 arms. Another was a squat, furry Gorali with tusks. The third was a thin, green-scaled Sauran with large eyes. I'm telling you, the Novan whispered. I saw it with my own eyes. The humans of Avalanche. Unit survived temperatures cold enough to freeze methane. They walked through it like it was nothing while Vraxian soldiers turned blue and died on the spot. the Gorali grunted. That's nothing. My cousin served on a ship that picked up Vraxian survivors from Neptune. He said tsunami units swam through liquid gases that should have crushed their bodies. They climbed up the hulls of Vraxian ships during a storm and cut their way inside. The Soran leaned forward. I heard about Wildfire Unit. They got stranded in Earth's largest desert when their transport was shot down. They survived 3 weeks with minimal supplies, drinking water they pulled from the air somehow. Then they walked 60 miles and destroyed a Vraxian ground base. Keep your voices down, the Novan hissed as a group of Vraxian officers entered the bar. The 3 mercenaries fell silent, eyes on their drinks. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening. The reputation of the Earthborn units grew with each telling, some stories true, others exaggerated. One fact remained constant: alien. Mercenaries now refused contracts that might bring them into conflict with humans. On Earth, Kyle Adams worked with military intelligence, analyzing data from captured Vraxian ships. We found something interesting, Kyle told Admiral Martinez during a briefing. Multiple communications between Supreme Commander Krajul and someone called Zilvor. It seems they're having a disagreement about the invasion. The same Zilvor you heard about on Nexus 7? Susan asked. Kyle nodded. He commands a fleet of independent mercenaries who work for the Vraxians. According to these messages, he's questioning whether attacking Earth is worth the cost. Can we contact him? Asked Maya Johnson, who had recovered from her injuries and now worked alongside. Kyle? Possibly, Kyle replied. His ships operate on the edges of our solar system, observing but not engaging. If we could get a message to him. Susan thought for a moment. Let's try. Draft a communication offering amnesty to any mercenaries who desert the Vraxian cause. We'll broadcast it on frequencies their ships are known to monitor. Meanwhile, on the moon, Colonel Alan Peters met with the 5 Earthborn unit leaders in a secure underground base. Holographic displays showed the remaining Vraxian fleet positions. They're regrouping, Alan explained. Intelligence suggests Krejul is planning a direct assault on Earth. He's gathering all his remaining forces for one massive attack. How many ships? Asked Greg Walsh of Avalanche Unit. 22 warships and about 30 support vessels, Alan replied. Still, a formidable force. Lisa Chen of Tsunami Unit studied the display. They'll be expecting our tactics now. We won't surprise them so easily a second time. That's why we're changing strategies, Alan said. Instead of separate operations, all 5 Earthborn units will coordinate for a single counterattack when they make their move. He turned to Olivia Wright of Hurricane Unit. Your team has shown the best adaptation to zero-gravity combat. You'll lead the space element of our defense. Olivia nodded. We've been practicing maneuvers using the new jump packs. The Vraxians won't be expecting humans to fight effectively in vacuum. Earthquake and Wildfire units will defend ground targets, Alan continued. Avalanche and Tsunami will provide orbital support and boarding operations. Sam Rodriguez of Wildfire Unit looked concerned. Sir, what about civilian casualties if they target major cities? Evacuation plans are already in effect, Alan assured him. Underground shelters have been prepared. Earth's population has had 6 months to prepare. In deep space, aboard his command ship, Supreme Commander Krajul reviewed the battle plans with his officers. His once impressive fleet had been reduced to less than half its original size and morale was low. These humans have made fools of us, Krajul growled. The entire galaxy watches as the mighty Vraxian Imperium is held at bay by a species that barely knows interstellar travel. He slammed his fist on the table. No more clever tactics, no more traps. We will attack Earth directly with everything. We have left. Once their homeworld falls, these Earthborn units will surrender. An officer approached nervously. Commander, there's something you should know. Captain Zilvor's mercenary fleet has gone silent. They're not responding to communications. Krejul's eyes narrowed. Cowards. They fear these humans too much to fight no matter. We don't need mercenaries to win this war. But the commander was wrong. Zilvor hadn't fled. He had received Earth's message. On a small unmarked ship at the edge of the solar system, Zilvor, A Vraxian with unusual white markings on his scales played Kyle's message again. To all mercenary forces serving the Vraxian, Imperium. Earth offers amnesty and fair payment to any who desert Krajul's doomed invasion. We have defeated his best forces and will defeat any others he sends. But we recognize that many of you fight not by choice, but by contract. Break those contracts now. Help us end this war, and you will be treated fairly. Zilvor turned to his second-in-command. The humans offer a way out. Krajul wouldn't even notice we're gone until it's too late. Can we trust them? Asked his officer. I've studied these humans, Zilvor replied. They keep their word, even to enemies, and they're winning this war. He made his decision. Send a response. Tell them we want to meet. 2 days later, a small Earth ship rendezvoused with Zilvor's vessel in the shadow of Saturn. Kyle Adams and Maya Johnson represented Earth, bringing with them evidence of human victories and the fair treatment of Vraxian prisoners. Your Earthborn units have become legend among mercenaries, Zilvor admitted after the initial negotiations. My crews refuse to fight them. They say humans can survive conditions that would kill any other species. We adapt, Kyle said simply. It's what humans do best. Krajul plans to attack your planet in 3 days, Zilvor revealed. He's desperate. This failure has damaged his standing in the Imperium. If my fleet also deserts him, his position becomes even weaker, Maya finished. Zilvor nodded. I have 20 ships under my command. Not all of them will follow me, but most will. If we helped you instead of him. Kyle smiled. Then this war ends much sooner. As Kyle and Maya returned to Earth with news of the potential alliance, the final battle for humanity's future drew near. But already throughout the galaxy, aliens whispered warnings to each other. Never fight the Earthborn units. They cannot be defeated. The final assault began at dawn. 22 Vraxian warships appeared in Earth's atmosphere, breaking through the outer defense perimeter. Emergency sirens wailed across the planet as civilians rushed to underground shelters. Admiral Susan Martinez watched from Earth Defense Command as the Vraxian ships positioned themselves over major cities. They're trying to force our surrender by threatening population centers, she said grimly. Our defense systems are ready, reported Carl Davis, and all Earthborn units are in position. Susan opened a communication channel. All units, execute. Operation Thunderstrike. Across Earth's orbit, cloaked human ships suddenly appeared behind the Vraxian fleet. Hurricane Unit, led by Olivia Wright, launched from these ships wearing their new vacuum combat suits. Each soldier carried a jump pack and specialized weapons designed for space warfare. The Vraxians didn't notice the humans until it was too late. Hurricane Unit attached to the hulls of enemy ships and placed explosive charges at key points. Charges set, Olivia reported, moving to Phase 2. Inside the Vraxian command ship, Supreme Commander Krajul prepared to broadcast his demands to Earth. A junior officer rushed into the command center. Commander, we've detected explosions on our support ships. Before Krajul could respond, the ship rocked violently. Warning lights flashed across control panels. What's happening? He roared. We're being boarded, reported his security chief. Multiple points of entry. Avalanche and tsunami units had breached the outer hull of the command ship. Greg Walsh led his team through the freezing vacuum breach they had created, their suits protecting them from the cold that slowed the Vraxian defenders. Lisa Chen's team entered through another section, using their superior mobility in tight spaces to outmaneuver the larger aliens. On Earth's surface, wildfire and earthquake units defended key locations. When 4 Vraxian ships managed to land troops near the North American Defense Center, Sam Rodriguez and his team were waiting. The Vraxian soldiers emerged from their ships, heavily armed and confident. They didn't expect the terrain itself to fight against them. Paul Jones' and Earthquake Unit had prepared the battlefield, creating hidden traps and underground passages. Now, Sam ordered. The ground beneath the Vraxians suddenly collapsed, dropping many into prepared pits. Others found themselves targeted by concealed weapon systems. The human soldiers attacked from multiple directions, using their knowledge of the terrain to devastating effect. Meanwhile, Kyle Adams and Maya Johnson led a small team onto the Vraxian command ship. With them was Zilvor, the defector who had brought 15 mercenary ships to Earth's side. The command center is this way, Zilvor told them, leading them through service corridors. Krajul will be there coordinating the attack. Remember, we want him alive if possible, Kyle said. He needs to answer for his crimes, but more importantly, we need to understand why they targeted Earth specifically. The small team fought their way closer to the command center, joining up with Greg Walsh's avalanche unit along the way. Glad you could make it, Greg said, his breath visible in the cold corridor where they had disabled the heating systems to slow Vraxian defenders. Wouldn't miss it, Maya replied, checking her weapon. They reached the main door to the command center. It was sealed shut, but Zilvor knew the override codes. The door slid open to reveal Krajul and his remaining officers, weapons drawn. Traitor! Krajul snarled at Zilvor. You betray your own kind for these humans? I chose the winning side, Zilvor replied calmly. Something you failed to do. A brief but intense firefight erupted. Maya was hit in the shoulder by a Vraxian energy weapon, crying out in pain as she fell. Kyle rushed to her side while Greg and his team subdued the Vraxian officers. Krajul, seeing his defeat was inevitable, threw down his weapon. Kill me and be done with it, he growled. That's not how humans operate, Kyle said, helping Maya to her feet. You'll stand trial for your crimes. Why did you attack Earth? Greg demanded. What made us so important to the Vraxian Imperium? Krajul laughed bitterly. You really don't know? Your species is unique in the galaxy. Your genetic structure contains elements we need. Need for what? Kyle asked. Survival, Krajul said simply. My species is dying. A genetic disease has infected our population for generations. Our scientists discovered that human DNA contains a natural immunity we could use to create a cure. So this invasion wasn't just about conquest, Maya said, holding her wounded shoulder. It was about harvesting humans. We would have taken what we needed, Krajul confirmed without remorse. The strong survive, that is the law of the universe, not our law, Kyle said firmly. On Earth we help each other. If you needed medical help, you could have asked. Krajul looked genuinely confused. Asked? Why would the strong ask the weak for anything? Because sometimes what looks like weakness is actually strength, Greg replied. And sometimes asking for help takes more courage than attacking. As the human forces secured the command ship, Admiral Martinez reported that all Vraxian vessels had either surrendered or been disabled. The invasion was over. 1 year later, Kyle Adams stood in a large chamber on Nexus 7 station, which had been rebuilt after the Vraxian attack. Representatives from 20 alien species watched as Earth was formally invited to join the Galactic Council. Earth has proven itself not just capable of defending its territory, but of showing mercy to defeated enemies, said the new council chairperson. Their scientists have even helped develop a cure for the Vraxian genetic disease, asking nothing in return. Kyle, now Earth's ambassador, accepted the formal invitation. Maya stood beside him, her injured shoulder healed but still occasionally painful. The Earthborn units will continue to serve as humanity's defenders, Kyle told the council. But we hope they'll never again be needed in war. After the ceremony, Kyle and Maya walked through the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Hard to believe it's been a year, Maya said. The Vraxians are actually keeping to the peace treaty. They respect strength, Kyle replied. And they've learned that humanity's strength comes not just from our ability to fight, but from our ability to adapt and work together. Their conversation was interrupted when a group of alien mercenaries entered the observation deck. Upon seeing the humans, the aliens stopped suddenly. One whispered to another, and the word Earthborn was clearly audible. Without another word, the mercenaries turned and quickly left the room. Maya laughed. I guess our reputation still precedes us. Good, Kyle said with a smile. Maybe that reputation will keep the peace better than any treaty. Across the galaxy, The legend of the Earthborn units continued to grow. In mercenary bars and trading posts, the stories were told with a mixture of fear and respect. Not because humans were the strongest or most advanced species, but because they had proven themselves the most adaptable, the most innovative, and the most determined when facing impossible odds. And when someone mentioned sending mercenaries against Earth, the response was always the same: immediate silence followed by a quick change of subject. Some lessons, it seemed, only needed to be taught once.